Good evening, Houston, Texas. I am Jake, not from State Farm, bringing you the evening news for February 18th, 2023 on FNN, the Flores News Network. Tonight's big story is about reducing recidivism in Texas prisons. Taxpayer money is wasted when criminals exit prison only to return after getting tried and convicted all over again with a new prison sentence. So, what can be done to help reduce recidivism? How can we successfully help criminals reform into productive citizens? Reducing recidivism benefits both the offender and society. We sent a reporter into the field to interview a prison ministry volunteer named Ron Owen. Ron believes he was literally pushed by God. Ron was told by many people over a span of a few years that he needed to go into prison ministry. He finally capitulated and has never looked back. Ron said, and I quote, "I have never seen God in the churches the way I saw God in prison." He said it changed his life for the better, and after seeing some of the toughest criminals soften under the word of God, he knows God truly exists and loves everyone. It is like the Bible said, Jesus came for the sinners. So let's watch our interview with Ron Owen.
My name is Ron Owen. I was a certified volunteer chaplain's assistant at the maximum security prison Pulaski in Livingston, Texas. That's where death row is located. I was working there for 11 years. First started out with a Kairos prison ministry, which is a 4-day weekend. And we typically have the warden pick the worst of the bunch to go through the 4-day weekend. And it's amazing the difference you see from Thursday afternoon when you first meet them till Sunday afternoon when they take the microphone and tell what the weekend has meant to them. About 7 years ago, we started a program called Bridges to Life, and this is the textbook for it. And to date, there have been over 70,000 graduates, men and women, from that program started 20 years ago by a guy named John Sage here in Houston. His wife was stabbed 90-something times, raped, and left for dead. And he went through a rough period. Finally, somebody talked him into going back to prison. And he's trying to figure out what he could do to reduce people going to prison, coming out, and going back. And he started Bridges to Life. And the recidivism rate, that's somebody that gets out of prison and how often they go back. In Texas at that time was about 30%. And in years past is much higher. But the graduates from Bridges to Life, recidivism rate is typically less than 20%. And for tough crimes involving injury, it's less than 5%. We have now done Bridges to Life in death row. We've had graduates of Bridges to Life give their testimony. When we graduated to first class, some of the directors from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice were there to witness it, and we passed a microphone to each one of the men on death row to say what they meant. One gentleman in particular said, "I came here to die, but instead I found life." I think prison ministry is amazing in what it does to turn people's life around, and the proof is in the edict from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice that they will have a faith-based pod in every building and every prison, that Bridges to Life and Kairos will be mandatory in every unit and every prison. They've seen how it can turn men's life around, and now they're trying to get other states to follow suit. I love it. I miss it. And I think it's a great way for someone to give back to society. I was told on 3 different occasions over a 2-year period that I need to get prison ministry. And then all my excuses were gone. The last time they said, "You need to be in Kairos." And I said, "When can I start?"
Wow, what a truly inspiring story, and gives hope for us all that there are people and programs out there that do not give up on some of the hardest criminals. Let's hear more from Ron.
It was a graduation ceremony on Sunday afternoon at Pulaski, and we give the men the microphone to tell what the weekend meant to them. And a tall, muscular black guy came up, grabbed the microphone. He turned around to one of the other members of the class, and he said, "Russ, come on up here." Well, Russ is a blonde, British blonde-haired guy, skinny as a rail, probably about 5'6". And he said he put his arms around him. He said, I would admit that I've abused you for the past 5 years. And he said, it'll never happen again, and I will protect you with my life. And, everybody was blown away. And then after graduation the following week, I got to wondering, is that just talk or did he mean it? But over the next 2 and 3 years, I kept seeing them together. And he meant it. And it followed through.
What sets prison ministry apart from other programs is the gospel. Inmates truly learn what the gospel is, what the gospel is about, and how it applies to their life. When these inmates exit prison and re-enter society, they do not recommit crimes because they are now devoted to Christ. Ron told us that the story of one inmate whose face is completely covered in tattoos and not fit to work in public. He would scare grown men, much less children. However, he was determined to live the gospel and not go back to a life of gangs and crime. He prayed for God to help him because he knew with his tattoos, his job opportunities would be very limited. Well, God found him a job on a ranch. He is married now and supports a family. He participates on a monthly basis in Zoom meetings with Ron and another volunteer from his prison days. Some inmates who go through prison ministry program and themselves become field ministers. They have experienced a 0% recidivism rate. Well, that's our news for the evening. Thank you for tuning in to FNN, the Flores News Network. This is Jake, signing off for the night.